Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. Here are our group members. Today we will explore two varieties of English, Chinese English and Hong Kong English. These two varieties originate from different historical channels of English spread, globalization in China, and colonial trade and exploitation in Hong Kong. We will compare them in terms of their history, linguistic features, present status, and other aspects. Let's start with Chinese English. English was first introduced in China by Jesuit missionaries in the 1600s, but only became influential after the Open War in the 19th century when trade ports opened. During the modern educational reform, English medium university like JINGXIU University use English as the main language, help spread the language further. And after the 1978 reform and opening up policy elevated English to a strategic national level. By the 2000s, English became a key tool for social mobility, with the tests like CHEN4 and CHEN6 widely adopted. In this period, the concept of Chinese English emerged, but not as an error-filled version of English, but as a legitimate variety that integrates Chinese cultural expressions. And then let's move to Hong Kong. After the Treaty of Nanjing in 1842, Hong Kong became a British colony, and English was made an official language. English symbolized power and was mainly used by the elite. After the Sino-British Joint Declaration in the 1984 and the 1997 handover, English retained its official status alongside Cantonese. Over time, a distinctive local style in media and literature was developed. And today, the basic laws guaranteeing the status of English as official language, and it reflects a complex trilingual ecosystem: English, Cantonese, and English Mandarin.
Now I will present the distinctive linguistic features of Chinese English and Hong Kong English. For Chinese English, the most prominent phonological feature is absence of vowel reduction. Chinese English maintains full vowel pronunciation in function words because vowel reduction doesn't exist in Chinese. We also see E and E confusion. B and B sound similar. For consonants, th and th sounds are constantly replaced with th and th. Think becomes think, this becomes this. The syllable time rhythm of Chinese affects English stress patterns, and Chinese tongues influence English intonation. For lexical features, extensive long translation like long time no see from 好久不见, transliteration of cultural concepts like 关系,面子, and new creation like netizen. Semantic extensions include eat medicine instead of take medicine, open the light instead of turn on the light, plus specialized vocabulary in business and technology fields. For grammatical features, topic prominent structures like this book I have read, simplification of relative clauses, omission of articles, and irregular past tense usage due to Chinese language influence. For Hong Kong English, phonological feature influenced by Cantonese 9-tone system creating unique vowel variation. Key features include I and E merging, pen and pain sound similar. There is also and confusion. Retention of some British pronunciation features with local variation, and the question intonation displaying clear Cantonese tonal characteristics. Lexical features like a rich Cantonese borrowings in food vocabulary, dim sum, wok, char siu. Cultural terms include feng shui, mahjong. Unique hybrid innovations like add oil, meaning common, wet market for traditional markets plus localized real estate and financial terminology. Notably maintains British spelling and formal vocabulary as colonial legacy. Grammatical features like post-post question words you go where from Cantonese 你去哪里? This directly reflects Cantonese sentence structure. Both varieties show semantic linguistic adaptation. Chinese English reflects Mandarin influence and globalization, while Hong Kong English shows Cantonese substrate and colonial history.
Now I will talk about the status of the two varieties. Let's examine Chinese English status. First, it is important to distinguish between two terms, Chinglish and Chinese English. Chinglish is marked by L1 interference and errors, while Chinese English is a legitimate, localized variety expressing cultural identity. Kirkpatrick and Xu classify it as a developing variety, like early Indian or Singapore English, with distinct phonological, syntactic, and lexical features. While Butler notes it meets some words English criteria, it lacks codified dictionaries and literary recognition. Challenges include ongoing codification, divided social attitudes, and pathological debates. Yet progress is possible through corpus research, adapting education to local needs, and cultural export initiatives. Three key factors drive Hong Kong English: multilingualism, Cantonese, Mandarin, English, and South Asian languages; post-colonial identity as both legacy and global tool; and generational shift, with youth adopting local features, pushing institutional recognition. Currently, it has distinct vocabulary but mixed acceptance. 75% of teachers prefer native norms, while more than 32% of youth embrace it. Though popular online, 68%, and in pop culture, 54%, it's still marginal in informal settings. Looking ahead, Hong Kong English will evolve in a trilingual blend, yet gaining global recognition requires striking educational biases and social prejudice against non-native varieties. Now let's move on to the other aspects of the two varieties. Using Chinese English as a teaching model has key advantages. It prioritizes exam and career needs over native speaker perfection while incorporating local culture, making learning more relevant. Notably, 60% of Chinese students feel uncomfortable being identified by their English accent. CE would resolve this by framing English as a global, multi-ethnic tool rather than Western property. This approach blends the strengths of Chinese and Western pedagogy. Materials evolves from Western-centric content to multicultural resources that validate students' identity. Ultimately, CE fosters social connection by focusing on learners' real needs rather than imitation of native speakers. Last, we will introduce futures for Hong Kong English. It faces three possible futures: standardization, if schools adopt its distinct features; marginalization, if social bias confines it to informal use; or hybridization, as it naturally blends with Chinese English for cross-cultural communication. The path depends on whether Hong Kong embraces its linguistic hybridity or clings to traditional hierarchies. Currently, many still view Standard English as more authoritative, but as both a practical tool and identity maker. Hong Kong English's evolution reflects Hong Kong's negotiation of its global role. Embracing it would affirm cultural autonomy and enrich worldwide English diversity. In the end, whether Chinese English or Hong Kong English thrives, their journey reminds us language is not just about how we speak, but about who we are and how we connect in an increasingly globalized world. Thank you.